Where we live is defined by the buildings around us. But the construction of the apartments we rent or own, the offices we work in, and the shops we rely on are little talked about. How the cinemas and gyms we hang out in are built and how the restaurants we dine in are financed is a mystery to most people. That's because commercial property development is complex, long-winded, and very expensive. But when the building process goes wrong, the effects on the community are far-reaching. Residents miss out on the facilities, often over generations, and the local economy stagnates. Jobs go elsewhere, transport slows down, and the space gets scarcer and pricier. Today, Exposed News begins a new series in which we try to unravel this mind-boggling world. In episode 1, we begin with an extraordinary case in the Isle of Man, a place often neglected in our media. In 2016, a company called Sundika were front-runners in a bid to build a state-of-the-art retail and residential scheme.
There was potential there to have these multiplexes, and I think the casino were going to move down there, plus huge 5-star restaurants with Michelin stars.
However, another company won the bid, called Kane Limited. 7 years on, and nothing. Now, the Isle of Man government are in the firing line.
They've been promising the world, and I think a big library with all this glass. I remember seeing some sort of demos of that, but it hasn't happened.
The situation has left many residents wondering what could have been. Instead of a 4-star hotel with a Michelin-starred restaurant, a new bus terminal, and a contemporary Winter Garden atrium, the residents of the capital city, Douglas, have been left with a car park described by some as a bombsite.
The residents are missing out on any development because there hasn't been one. It's simple as that. It doesn't matter if it's Kane, it doesn't matter if it's Sundika, it doesn't matter if the government built something. Residents are missing out because it hasn't been built. It doesn't matter who the developer was or who. In one sense, that is the kind of names involved with this is the least interesting part about it. The more interesting part is the repeated failure for anything to be done.
Now, Sundika have launched a court case claiming damages in excess of £50 million. The winning bidders, Kane Limited, aren't being blamed, but the politicians who awarded the contract are. Locals argue that the case is emblematic of a government that is out of touch and incompetent.
Bureaucracy, incompetence in that frame at some degree.
Exposed News went to the Isle of Man to investigate these compelling court cases. The case is set against a backdrop of reports of infighting and multiple firings within the Department of Infrastructure, the body which handled the tendering process.
We have the Department for Infrastructure, which is a very wieldy part of government that do so many things. We have major work.
The turmoil has put the spotlight on the Isle of Man government, which has already come under fire in the national press. A delayed project to reform the airport and a new ferry terminal which blew the budget have raised concerns. Locally, a revamp of a much-used promenade sparked controversy because of defects.
Douglas Promenade was redone. It went horribly over budget. It was delayed, and it's still probably about 98% done years later.
But the focus has now shifted to the centre of Douglas, where the Lord Street car park remains.
So forever and ever, there was going to be this new development down in Lord Street. This is the casinos and hotels and all sorts. And the first attempt, there was a sudden sort of outcry because they were going to give them only a 99-year lease or something. And then, obviously, the company were not interested in 99 years, and that bit the dust. This is where the bus station was, and we lost our bus station. The Isle of Man doesn't have a bus station. We have an interchange, which is just nothing. So this is all levelled, ready for all that work, and Lord Street was primed up for a major development. And basically, over the years, it's come and it's gone. I've done numerous bits about it, I suppose.
The court case between Sundika and the Department of Infrastructure over its handling of the development has been bubbling in the courts over the past few years.
It was announced they were going to sell it and it was going to be used for development. The company which got that bid was a company called Kane Limited, and there was a rival bid in that from a company called Sundika, and they are claiming that the Department of Infrastructure basically mishandled that bid process. They say they were the preferred bidder. They've then moved on and said that something changed, they don't know what, and then Kane Limited won it. There was no accusations against Kane Limited at all, any of this. There's nobody saying they've done anything. It's all based on how the government handled this bid and what happened there, essentially. So Sundika were going for a compensation claim on that.
Earlier in the summer, there was a key hearing alleging tort of negligent misstatement. breach of contract and misfeasance in public office, which the government deny.
You can sort of see that from today, that there are missing pieces to this. Again, it's, you know, they're claiming that the government mishandled this, the government is saying they didn't. It's a classic, in a sense, a company has lost a bid, which they said they were the preferred bidder for, and then all of a sudden they weren't. So obviously things like that arouse suspicion. Whether there is anything to that, we don't know. You know, that's what this court proceedures to determine, basically.
Next month, on October 4th, there is another key hearing before First Deemster Andrew Corlett at the Island's Courts of Justice.
I mean, you hear this goings on with Lord Street, and we just don't know how much is going on behind the scenes that is completely unjust.
The dispute, you know, it could easily be a case of there has been something went wrong, or it could easily be a case of this is a developer who's annoyed that they lost a bid. We really don't know. But in terms of people who are missing out, it's the residents who are missing out on an improved bus station, on allegedly a 7-screen cinema, or all these other things that just haven't happened.
The main company that I think they're now suing 50 million or something to the Island government because they've been let down on what they thought they were going to do, and somebody else is maybe moving in on that. But we are still left with just this bomb site in Douglas, and money is going to go out, which is such a shame because, you know, it was such a great plan, and if it's true, then that stinks and that has to be investigated.
If you're a company who's believed that's what you've lost out on because of whatever you believe has happened, then that's the law and that's justice in one sense.
It's a disaster if that's the case. I hope it's not, but nothing surprises me.
One building or one development can't resolve an island-wide lack of just something to do, something that is a bit different that you get in other cities and other towns. One place wasn't going to solve that. It doesn't matter how good it is. It's a start, and don't get me wrong, these things, everything has to start with one thing. And if the development gets going there that does start to rejuvenate these sort of things, brilliant.
If you have any tip-offs, see the link below and get in touch confidentially. Please support Exposed News as we continue this investigation by signing up to our Patreon, subscribing to our YouTube, and following us on social media. Thank you.